So hello, everyone. As you start to make your way into the room, we're just going to give a minute or so here for more people to get in before we get started. So give us a little bit of time here and then we'll get started. I still see the number ticking up. So in the meantime, enjoy this lovely slide containing a taste of things to come. We have an action-packed hour ahead of us. So I won't wait too much longer. I mean, I have some intro stuff to get through. So if people are still coming in, they won't miss, the meat and potatoes of the whole thing. So I will get us started. Hello, everyone. Thank you to those joining us, to those still joining us, for taking some time out of your day to join us here for our session on Algonquin College's broadcasting radio program. I will say that this is being recorded with the intent of putting this up online for people who were not able to attend or for future reference. So I'm just going to post a little privacy info in there. We are going to respect your privacy, so don't worry about that, but just wanted to make sure it's clear that the session will be recorded for future use. So once again, thank you for joining us. I am Sean McMahon. I am the faculty marketer for the School of Media and Design that houses the broadcasting radio program. And I am joined by a fantastic panel of guests here today. We'll do a quick round of introductions. Who would like to go first?
I'll go first. Thank you, Sean. My name is Dan Mellon. I'm the coordinator of the radio program, and I'm one of the full-time faculty. I'm just finishing up my 11th year with the college in the radio program. And it's a lot of fun. It's a great place to be. So thanks to everyone for coming out today.
I'll pop in next. My name is Jessica Brando. You might see me twice on the screen, but it's only one of me. I am the other full-time professor in the program, and along with Dan and a lot of great part-time faculty, we have kept this show running, through the pandemic and beyond, hopefully. And I started in 2008 in the program, and have really enjoyed teaching folks like you since then.
And I'm the other Dan. My name is Dan Pullen, and I'm the academic chair for media studies. And radio is one of the programs, one of 15 different media related programs that I look after. And but I also, my heart is here in radio because I was a full-time faculty member and a coordinator of the radio program before I became chair. So welcome, everybody. Look forward to spending the next hour with you.
Thank you all very much. So I guess a few quick housekeeping things. We will be taking questions at the end. So we're going to do a little bit of a program overview, and then we're going to show you around the studio space. And then we'll take questions at the end. That doesn't mean you need to wait until the end to submit your questions. So you'll see the Q&A function along the bottom there. We ask that you submit your questions in there. We'll likely be using the chat to post some links where you can get more information about some of the things that we're talking about. So if you want to submit your questions into the Q&A, again, you don't need to wait till the end. So if you hear someone say something or something hits you and you go, oh, I got to know more about that. Submit the question, absolutely. And, so at the end, we will have a good stockpile to get to. And, this is a great opportunity. I know our coordinators are often available through email to answer your questions, but we're here, we're live, and we're ready. So this is a perfect opportunity, whether you're set to start in the fall, whether you've already applied, whether you're thinking of applying. This is a great panel of people here to give you all of the info you need. So all that being said, I am not going to take up a whole lot of time with the PowerPoint that you see before you here today. Just a quick overview in case anyone is, sort of new to the program. So we are here, of course, to talk our broadcasting radio program. That is a 2-year diploma at our Woodruff campus here in Ottawa. And a big thing with not just the radio program, but kind of with the media and design programs and Algonquin as a whole is we're very hands-on. We want to make sure that, and also about making sure that you're work ready. So we don't want you to just, sit and listen to, okay, well, here's how it would work. And here's what, what you will be doing. We want you to say like, okay, no, here's what you will be doing. And now you're going to do it. So a big thing with this program is that the students will host a 1-hour show. So we have 2 radio stations, and we're going to be talking more about that. We have CKDJ and Air AM. So you'll actually get an opportunity to host a show on those stations. And there's also a field placement at the end. So we're also, in addition to making sure you're work ready, wanting to make sure that you start to kind of form those industry connections even before you finished out on the program, so that when you get out there, you already know some people and you don't feel overwhelmed with that transition. Like it's a seamless transition from graduation to moving yourself into the work world. And on the right there, you'll just see a small sample of some of the places and some of the roles that our graduates have found themselves in. I won't go through each one individually. I'm sure we'll be talking more about that throughout the course of the session, and you can find even more information on that online. But as promised, that is the end of that. I didn't want to spend too much time because you're not here for PowerPoints. You're here to get all those hot radio broadcasting scoops. So I will pass it over to Dan and Jessica. Is there, hit us with more info. What do the people need to know about broadcasting radio?
Well, the one thing I guess I should say to everybody this morning is that the one nice thing about this program is I think it gives you so many different paths that you could go, whether it's in radio or whether it's in audio production, audio content, podcasting. There's so many places this program can take you, whether it's in radio or it's not in radio. And we're going to give you a little taste of everything to start off. But the one thing that's I think is so great about this program is as it goes along, you really can start to specialize in some of those areas that you want to go. So whether it be in the news side or the programming side or the production side or the performance side, and you really do have a lot of different places that this could take you.
Yeah, and I think also we should point out, and not to toot our own horns, but our faculty are really drawn from all areas of audio and radio. My background is journalism. Dan's been, I think, just about everything, in every kind of private market. And together, we offer a wide variety. I have a background in podcasting. Dan's been on air. He's been a program, a station director. And so we really give you an overview of what you can do. And plus, we have a lot of great part-time faculty who are working currently in the industry, doing a wide variety of things. So as Dan was saying, just to build on that a little bit, we really can get you prepared to go in so many different options. There is a future in audio, there is a future in radio. And I think our students, when they graduate, are really in an enviable position of being able to choose from a lot of different options, because no stone is unturned in terms of what we're teaching you. And over these 4 semesters, you really do get a chance to not only learn the skills, but put them into play. How soon do we get them on air, Dan, in first semester?
Yeah, you're going to be on the air in the 3rd week, right away. We don't wait. And I always joke about this when they come in. If you happen to be listening to our radio stations in that 3rd week, it's going to be a little rough, but that's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. And we really don't want you to have to wait to get, your hands on the technology and start working and learning it, because, we really feel the only way you're going to gain expertise at these things are to actually sit down and do it. And one of the nice things as well about our program is that we've made a lot of investment over the years in ensuring that all of the software that we use, the hardware, is all industry standard. And the one thing I'm really proud about the program is that when you come here and you work on our radio stations, you're going to be using equipment and software that are used, at just about every other radio station in Canada. They're not knockoffs. They're not the cheap version. It's the real full versions of the software, of the hardware. What's good about that is when you leave here, you will be job ready. You won't have to be trained on those things. You already will be.
And, just to sort of extend on that, we've, as everybody, on Earth has worked, we worked through the pandemic, we've taught through the pandemic. And when we had to go remote, there were challenges to figure out, but those challenges were the same challenges that people across the industry were facing. And so we were working, coordinating, brainstorming with people in the industry about how to deliver the program remotely and still give our students everything that they need in terms of being job ready, like Dan was saying. So, it took us a couple of weeks to figure it all out, but we've actually delivered, the last year has been a remote program year. And, I would say after a couple of bumps in the road, you wouldn't hear the difference on our stations. We're still delivering the news. We're still, doing the radio shifts. We're still doing all of the work in production and podcasting and so on. Maybe now I'll just share my screen. I'm just going to take you to the website for CKDJ, and that's our terrestrial radio site. So this is the one that is actually broadcast. You can pick up in your car radio if you're not too far from the college type thing. So let me just take you over to the site there for 2 seconds. And, you can see that we have Kellen, one of our third semester students right now, who's on air broadcasting. And, we have we try and really approach it from a multimedia sense. They're blogging, they're doing news. I teach the podcasting course. We've got our first episodes of this semester's podcasts all up there right now. So you can see that we're really able to deliver everything that you need, whether we're in person or remote. We'd love to have you in person. You might be able to see behind me, I'm actually physically on campus right now, and we're hoping to get our first semester students on campus as well to some degree in September. Fingers crossed, as things continue to look better. So just wanted to show you, check it out, our website there. It's student run, it's student built, and there's some neat stuff there, and I'll give you a little flavor of some of the things that our students are up to that's not actually being broadcast at the moment.
One of the other things as well that I would say about the program that we're very fortunate is to have a lot of great industry partners, and they will interact with you throughout the program, whether it be a guest speaker or through mentorship assignments. We have assignments where you'll interact with members of the industry and get their feedback. They will come into our classrooms. And then ultimately, for many students, it'll be about gaining a work placement somewhere. Again, whether it be at a radio station or a podcasting company, we've had students who have worked on audiobooks and voiceover. And, again, like I was mentioning off the top, that there are so many places that we can go with this. That too is your opportunity in the field placement. And that's really your final opportunity to really hone those skills and try a job that you want to learn those last things that you need to be qualified for to enter the workplace. And as we work through your 3 sort of academic semesters of classes, it works into that 4th semester of the field placement. And I wonder, I guess, sorry, go ahead, Jessica.
No, I was just going to say, what I find really neat about a lot of our students who come in first semester, they have this idea of what they want to do in radio. They've chosen this program and they have a pretty set idea of what they want to do. And because they're exposed to so many different things, and they get to try their hand at so many different aspects of the industry, it's really neat when they get to that field placement part to see them applying to things that are completely outside of what they thought they wanted to do in radio. And then they end up doing things, and launching careers that might not have even occurred to them when they first applied to the program. But, they've learned, they've tried it and they've liked it, and they found out they're quite good at it and that you can make money at it. So it's really neat to see this evolution and everybody's skill sets expanding, so that when they get to that 4th semester, they're able to really widen their net and figure out there are a bunch of different things that I could do to make a living in this industry. And it's really neat sometimes to see where people end up.
One thing I wanted to mention too, I know we have the tour coming up in a few minutes, but I wanted to mention as well that, the things that we teach, the curriculum you're going to run into is in constant evolution. We're constantly always trying to improve it, make it better. One of the things that I think it's important that you know as well is that, so much of the work that would be done as an assignment, for example, again, there's, some kind of deliverable, and whether it's a recording or a voiceover or a newscast or a podcast. And one of the things that we really try to do a lot is to have those assignments be used for more than one thing. So it's not just an assignment that gets assessed. Your podcast that you do in that class would get assessed, but it's also going to be put on the air and used as programming. Things that we do in our programming and production classes. Again, we want to, have that become part of the fabric of the radio station. And I don't know a better way to say it, but we really try to make sure that a lot of the assignments that we do aren't just, for the good of your health. We want to, be able to use that in multiple places and to be able to collaborate not only with your peers in the program, but maybe other programs as well.
And what's neat about that is the assignments, they help you build a great demo reel. Whether you're, crafting commercials in one class or putting together a podcast series or, all those on-air shifts that you're going to do, those are everything that you can mine to show the people that you want to hire you how many skills you've had and how many skills you've been able to develop. If you've got a newscast that really was a great one, that type of thing. So it's what Dan says, we're getting you to do things that actually matter and that you can use beyond the program. They are part of, what makes you employable once you're done.
Thank you both very much. So I think we can probably move into the tour piece. We've had a lot of great information so far, a lot more to come. But one thing that's been kind of too bad about everything is we still aren't able to bring people on campus and take a tour, which is unfortunate because in our programs, we are in the spaces that we use are fantastic. Like there's so much effort put into, as we've been discussing, making sure that you are ready for the work world and making sure that you're working on equipment that is, what you'd be working on later on. So because we can't bring you in and show you those spaces directly, we thought we would bring the tour to you. So Jessica is in the space ready to show it off. And as mentioned, if at any point you come up with a question, please enter it into the Q&A, because once the tour is concluded, we will start taking questions. So, with that all being said, Jessica, take it away.
I'm just making sure I'm flipping my phone the wrong way, I think, and I don't see much video coming through on my little square below there. So give me a second here. Oh, and now it's gone completely. Let me try and join again. It's connecting again. Anybody has any questions, now would be a great time while I sort out my my technical difficulties.
Yeah, actually too, to kind of get things going, and it was touched on a little bit. One thing, especially having done these other sessions, that I've come to see is how much collaboration there is amongst all the different media programs. And Dan, Dan or Jessica, one of you definitely just hit on it a second ago. And I was wondering if you could speak a little bit more to that, like the way that a lot of the different media programs kind of work together and how that, how that all comes together.
For sure. I mean, I also teach in the journalism program here at the college. And so, a lot of this, I joke that I teach journalism to the radio students and radio to the journalism students. And so we get the journalism students in here. And so you're collaborating with the journalism students when they're doing their newscasts. And there's also, there's a project I know that they do with, remind me of this one, Dan, it's, is it PR students where they're doing?
Yes.
Yes. And also in one of my classes as well, we attend a news conference put on by the PR students. So it's not just like a closed ecosystem here in the radio program. We're physically located in what's called N building, where most of the media and design programs are. And, you know, you will interact in my news class. You know, we're trying to set up a TV link and so on, because as most of you know, probably you're more employable when you've got more skills. So we really try and get you out connected with the types of people that you would be connecting with in the industry itself. So, you know, my phone is not cooperating super well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my laptop with me and turn it outwards and try and frame things up well without seeing it. So it's not going to be perfect, but hopefully, you know, you guys will be able to get an all right view of what things look like. Oh, still connected to one thing. Okay, so the lights have turned off because I haven't been moving around and I'm the only one in here, but this is the little corridor that leads out from my office and heads out into the main newsroom part of the station here. So you'd be coming in on your first day through this door right here. And this is where typically students gather before classes, and also in the corner here, a little space that's near and dear to my heart, which is the news desk. So when you're doing newscasts, you'll be operating this board here when you're in the station to do your newscasts. This over here is our studio for Air AM. So students who are doing air shifts here would be working out of here. The music in the background. This is our radio station that is broadcast on the internet. Here's a look at some of the equipment that you'd be using, microphone and the board and the software that we use, Wide Orbit. And this all might look a little intimidating right now, but very soon you get a working knowledge of it all. And you get a view into our other station. This is CKDJ that you're looking through. Hopefully there's not too much glare on the window. I'll make my way over there now. And that's Dan Mellon's office right there. So you can pop your head in there frequently, as many students do. But this is our larger studio for CKDJ 1079. You can see there are microphones for guests, microphones for the host, a bit of a more sophisticated board, same programming software, and you know, what we call the bat phone there for call-ins and so on. So really replicating so much of what you see in the industry. So this is sort of the main part of the station. But then as you cruise through the different sections here, we have a number of studios and, you know, that serve different purposes, where you'll be completing assignments and, you know, helping the station run. This whole section is our section here. That's my office right there. And as we make our way down here, I thought I'd show you 3 different spaces, including this studio here, which we've set up to facilitate podcast recording. So, you know, you can get 4 guests around this table here and run everything through the board, make everybody sound great. It's quite a nice little setup here. I know that there are people in the industry who envy this space. And then we have other individual studios where you would be able to complete your work and get through your assignments. All the equipment that you see is, as Dan was saying before, industry standard, and you'll feel quite comfortable, I think, in any environment once you've had your training here. This is a classroom here that we have strictly for radio, and right now we're not using it, but you know, we've certainly had a lot of good teaching times in there, definitely. So I wish I was able to know that I was framing this up properly, but that's what I got for you right now. And it'll be a pleasure to welcome you, you know, into the campus at some point during your education.
That was great. We saw everything perfectly,
Okay.
Jessica. So
Yeah, I was
Okay.
jumping in to say, yep,
Okay,
pulled
excellent.
pulled it off flawlessly. So well done.
My
Sean,
background is radio, not TV.
We do have a couple of questions, Sean. Can we get to a couple of those?
Absolutely. So I'll pull these up. So we do have a couple of questions, and now's that time to get them in. So keep them coming. Start with, I once briefly worked in the CKDJ radio station when I was still in high school as part of a summer program. Now that I'll be fully part of this program after finishing university, is there anything different than when I was last there 5 years ago?
Well, I think the equipment and the setup is generally the same. You know, we've updated a few things in the studios. The operation of it, though, is going to be generally the same. So, Michael, if you did have some time spent at CKDJ, it should be fairly familiar to you. One of the things that you might see a little bit different is the automation software, Wide Orbit. It goes through some updates, so the screen could look a little bit different. But the operation of the gear should be fairly similar to what it was.
And you'll have a leg up having already experienced some of that. We have students right now who've not actually set foot in the studio this semester or last because of the pandemic. So you'll be somebody who feels quite at home, I would think.
Okay, next question. Outside of a laptop, is there any other equipment that is recommended to use or purchase to help with assignments?
Yeah, we've got a short list of equipment that we recommend. You certainly can, get the stuff that you want to get. Some students will invest a little more or less. One thing you will need is a good pair of headphones, like over-the-ear headphones. I've got some here. This is a headset version, but you're going to need the kind that will actually go over the ear. Forget this microphone here. This is one of our sports headsets, but it's really key that you have the kind of studio over the ear headphone. Earbuds are very difficult to work with, and it doesn't really give you an accurate reference of the sound, especially when you're on the air live or if you're doing some audio editing. The one thing that all audio gear has when we connect to it, professional gear, is this 1/4-inch adapter. You can kind of see it here. It's a little bit different than the standard one that comes with most headphones. If your headphones don't have this 1/4-inch adapter, there is another adapter you can do to convert it over. I would recommend picking up a couple of them because they do tend to walk away or get lost, or if you borrow it, you probably consider it gone. But so you'll need a good pair of headphones like that. One of the other things that a lot of our students have had lately, I'll grab this one, is a USB microphone. There are many different ones, and a lot of them are really, really good. This is the Blue Yeti model, and I like this one because it has a number of different recording settings that you can use on it. The price point isn't too bad, and the sound is quite good. And the nice thing about this is because it's USB, you can plug it directly into your laptop. You don't need a mixer of any kind. The microphone that I'm using here in the studio that you're hearing me on is a standard microphone. And I'll show you, I'm in my home studio right now, but some people will elect to get a mixer like this, a small mixer. And those are good because you can connect more than one device. You could connect a laptop into it or a playback device. And so you can see this is what I'm using right now, but it's not necessary. You can get by just fine with a laptop and maybe a USB mic. It just depends how far you want to go and what you want to do with it. Storage device is another thing that we highly recommend. If you have just like one of these drives, I really recommend, if you can spend the money, to get an SSD drive where it doesn't have any moving parts, because sometimes the older drives can fail. An SSD can as well, it just can fail less. But you really want to have something that you can use to make backups of your recordings, or if you need to move from studio to studio or computer to computer, you can use network drive space also. But it's just always good to have a backup. And I can't tell you how many times over the years somebody's worked really hard on a project. They've spent hours and hours on it, and they've had just a cheap thumb drive or something that they got at a promotion, and it fails and everything's lost. So we would highly recommend that you get a good storage device, strictly to have as a backup. When you become a student of the program, you're going to get the full Adobe suite. So you're going to have Adobe Audition. That's our main editing software. That's a software that many, many, many radio stations and production companies use, quite universal that way. And again, we want you to learn on the things that you're going to be using. So you'll get Adobe Creative Cloud, which will have, Audition, Premiere, Photoshop. You'll get all that stuff.
I'll just throw my voice in here too to talk a little bit about the digital recorder that we recommend for the program. So this is when you're out gathering sound outside of the studio. So if you're working for news or podcasting and you want to conduct interviews outside of the studio, these are different ways that you can do it. We've been doing remote interviews for the past year, but certainly we talk about this. It's a Tascam. It's available in the bookstore at Algonquin. It's not cheap, but it's a workhorse. And, if you do purchase that, it will serve you for many years to come. I'll just throw my vote in for my microphone. Mic, it's ATR 1200, I think it's called. And what's cool about that is it's a USB mic, but it also can work as a standard microphone with an XLR connection. So you could connect that, to the digital recorder with the right adapter and so on. So that's kind of nice to have that versatility that you can pair those two up. So, we, as Dan said, have a list and, you'll be able to sort of cobble it together, this equipment as you go and see sort of what the applications are for it.
We'll be sending a list of recommended equipment out to students in the summertime so that you can acquire that ahead of the semester. But I would also offer to anybody, if you had any questions at all, or you wanted a recommendation, or maybe you were deciding between, please drop us a line and we'd be happy to give you our thoughts on that if you had that. So.
Yeah, we'd love it if, you ask for our input before you put money towards something, because it's really unfortunate when somebody comes to the program having thought that something was a good purchase and, there's something wrong with it, or, it doesn't really give you as much sort of versatility as some of the equipment that would be the same price that we would just, steer you towards with a little bit of a heads up that you're looking to purchase something. So yes, definitely get in touch before you make a purchase if it's more than $10.
One thing I'll say too is that when it comes to your laptop, PC, or Mac, the radio industry is very much a PC industry. The software, it very heavily favors PC. You might find it very difficult to use some of the software that we use with a Mac. Now, has it been done before? If you're really, really good with computers and can run emulators, I've seen it done. But I've also seen students have a lot of difficulty with it. And so if you're a Mac user, you may want to consider finding yourself another PC laptop to use in the program. It doesn't have to be super crazy expensive, but you will need something that's going to work kind of frustration free. And some of like when we're doing music scheduling, or you're doing the newsroom software, Burley, it can be very, very difficult to execute on a Mac. And that's just how the industry gone. They decided that, all these, proprietary software that's used is going to be PC based. And so that's why that's that way. Nothing against Macs. They just don't work very well with what we're doing.
Okay, thank you both very much. So as mentioned, get those questions in. We're here until noon, so we have plenty of time to get you the info that you need, that you want. In the meantime, because I know some people might be watching this down the road, watching the recording, so I just want to make sure we cover as much as we can. If you wouldn't mind talking a little bit about just kind of our graduates of the program and where some of them have ended up, and just a little bit more there to give people an idea of, once they finish up the program, what those next steps might look like.
Sure. I'll go first. As we said earlier, where the sky was the limit, the number of pathways there are available are many. And really that comes down to, where do you want to go with this? Where are you willing to take it? We have radio jobs if you want to work in radio all across Canada. And there are a couple of places where the radio jobs get posted, and there are lots of jobs. Contrary to what you might hear in some media reports sometimes about cutbacks and things like that, consolidations, there are still quite a few jobs. And what's really nice for students that are coming out of school is a lot of these jobs are entry-level jobs. The thing is, all the jobs in radio aren't in Ottawa. And so sometimes, depending on how far you want to go with it, you may have to, make a move to start an adventure, as I call it. Sometimes you might want to go to a smaller market to start. We've had students go to Brockville and Kingston and Cornwall and, all places. We have students that have gone out east, that have gone out west. Really, depends where you want to go and what you're willing to do. We have students that work in newsrooms, students that work on air, students that have gone into non-traditional jobs as well, not necessarily radio, where, maybe they've gone to work for a podcasting company, or even a corporate job that required the skills of somebody that's been in the radio program. That's certainly an aspect of it too. One of the things that some of our students like to go into is sports. If you're, into that neck of the woods, we do a lot of sports in college. If you're interested, play-by-play. And when Jessica showed the website, you may have seen our podcast, our weekly, that's called the Press Box. That's been a long time running show on the station. And so, I'll let Jessica speak here a little bit to this as well. But I think if you are able and willing and to go to where the work is, there are quite a few jobs available.
Yeah, I'll echo what Dan said about being willing to go to a smaller market to get started, because often they're starved for talent. And if you can go in there as somebody with lots of different skills, as somebody who's comfortable doing an on-air shift, somebody who's comfortable doing a newscast, heading out into the community to do some reporting, promotions, that type of thing, that's a really valuable skill set for people, for these smaller stations that are out in some of the more far-flung areas of our country. I know that, Dan, I think you left your hometown for your first job in radio. I went to school here in Ottawa. My first job was in Quebec City. So it's this sort of sense of adventure, as Dan says, to say, all right, I'm willing to go to where the work is, and I'm interested in, basically, it's not necessarily putting down roots. I heard some sort of joke about, like, the moving truck with radio employees, but anyway, I don't remember the punchline. But the idea is that there's always sort of the next challenge. We have one of our graduates who recently just left a job at KISS FM here in Ottawa, who is moved into a major market in Windsor, Ontario. You wouldn't necessarily think that going from an Ottawa, established radio station down to Windsor, Ontario would be such a great move. But Johnny is now, I think he's, talking to a market of 6 million or something, Dan?
Yeah, with Detroit right across the river.
Exactly. So it's about sort of seeing where those opportunities are and doing, going for them. I put in the chat there, we had a recent grad whose first job ended up, is it the Yukon? Did he end up in the Yukon, Mo?
He wound up in Yukon and now recently moved to Stratford.
Right.
Ontario,
so sometimes it's that stint out in a more remote area that gives you the experience and the credibility to then come back closer to home, perhaps. But certainly the 3-4 years I spent in Quebec City allowed me to go from, like, the most junior journalist in the crew to a producer in my next job, so it's really we have a lot of people who move on and end up in different places. We have people working in podcasting now. We have people who as Dan was saying, do work that involves media, content creation, that sort of thing, but in a more corporate setting. So you really can find employment in all the areas that we teach here at the program, which is, you know, a pretty neat variety of things that will be available to you.
One other quick thing, and I don't know that we've really seen the limit of it yet. And one of the things the pandemic has forced us all to do is to learn how to work remotely. And even with a lot of the broadcasters, like our students right now are hosting live shows from their home, operating the radio station remotely. But what's starting to happen now is that as people get better at working from home, and even in the radio industry, there are opportunities that have come up for people to continue working from home. And you know, maybe there's a show that needs to be hosted in, you know, wherever, pick your town in Canada, but the host is actually in Ottawa, you know, from their basement studio. And we're starting to see more and more of that now. I'm not quite sure where that's going to balance out, but I think it's an exciting time. And you know, we have this technology now that really even 5 years ago would have been very, like, imagine if this had happened 5 years ago. I don't know that we would have, you know, had the technology to do this as well or as easily as we can now, and to create some of those opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you both. We do have a question in the Q&A. Reminder, keep them coming. We got another 15-ish minutes or so. Not to say that if you come up with a question later, that there won't be a chance to send an email and ask it. But as I said, this is a fantastic time to get those answers live. What options do I have should I want to study further after completing this program?
I'll take that question. Haven't heard from me yet. Again, my name is Dan Plain. I'm the chair of media studies. So there are lots of options for you after the program. There are some outside of the college. So there are some universities that take the credits that you earn during your diploma and then allow you a fast track to a degree. And we have a number of arrangements made up for that. We also see students actually that will go on and take another diploma program at the college or another program. And what I find really fascinating about that is it kind of combines two specialties. So maybe it's radio with television. You know how many times now that both radio and television stations end up in the same area, owned by the same owners, and employees expected to be able to do everything in both areas. So I mean, that's one example. There are other examples. Music industry, arts is another popular combination with radio as well. Again, you're just sort of expanding your skill set, and then you're giving yourself more opportunities when it comes to finding jobs, both in the industry and using the skills that you've learned in the program itself. So yeah, so there are definitely options, and we can actually, Sean can probably put a link in or send you one just about the different academic partnerships that we have with other institutions that can help you on your way. And it really, it's interesting that you say that, because it is about lifelong learning. You know, the skills that I learned in the radio program in the 1990s were very, very different to the skills that we're teaching in that program now. But that being said, during my career in radio, I was able to evolve and continue to learn things. And I think that's, even as a student coming into the program, you have to think about that, is that you are going to be learning for the rest of your career. You have to be, in order to keep up with everything that's going on. And if you're not keeping up, then you're going to be one of those who sort of left behind. You know, that you're going to be replaced by a robot. And you don't want to be replaced by a robot. We still need great storytelling in radio, and that's what it's all comes down to. And I tell you, a robot can't do that.
And we're taking a very anti-robot stance in this info session. Official Algonquin College stance on radio robots. Not for. Right. So keep those questions coming. One thing actually I want to touch on a little bit that came up is if there's anything that you'd like to tell a student coming into the program that maybe they wouldn't think offhand. It was talked about, doing these interviews remotely. And I know when we did a session for journalism, one thing we highlighted is that you do spend a lot of time kind of, out there talking with people, doing these interviews, and that maybe sometimes people coming in may not realize how much time is spent, that talking with other people, and how you kind of need to have the drive to do that, and how it actually helps a lot of people kind of overcome anxiety around that kind of thing. And I thought that was really interesting. So I wanted to see if there's anything you wanted to highlight here for anyone coming in that they might not immediately connect.
I think what I'd just say actually is it's not so much about talking about people outside the program, but I really want to underscore how impressed I am every time we get a new group of students is how quickly the group becomes very tight knit. They work together even remotely, and that was a bit of a question mark for us. How do you create this community that has been so easily built every year prior to the pandemic when we're not physically in the same space? And I don't know if it's the type of people that gravitate towards the program or what it is, but I'm always really kind of impressed by how quickly the group gels. And even, if you consider yourself to be an introvert who's, the lone wolf type person, there's a space for you here, and it becomes a crew, and there's so much support. And it's not just like top down learning from, Dan and I and the other professors. There's so much that happens laterally between the students, so just if you're wondering, what is my post-secondary experience going to be like in this program, with the uncertainty of how exactly it's going to roll out because of the pandemic. I just wanted to tell you that it's continued the spirit of community that this program fosters. So, I think that's worth mentioning, because I think for a lot of you, if you've done post-secondary before the pandemic or not, you're coming from, we've come from a year of being remote. It's really it's heartwarming to see that it continues, despite the fact that you're not physically in the same location.
Yeah, and if I can just follow up on that, that's one of the things that I love about this program. Again, is just how tight knit the group gets and how they're able to work with each other, support each other. There are a lot of times somebody will come into the program and they'll have these interests, but maybe where they went to high school, or the group of people they hang around with, you might be on your own with this. Very few people may have been interested, but when you get here, everybody has a similar interest, and I can really see people shine when they get here, because it's the first time that they've been able to work with a lot of other people who do share those similar interests. And as we said before, because of how quickly we get people up to speed and hands on, it really becomes quite a fun thing. I think I always joke that a lot of times, and some of the stuff you'll do around the radio station, it's school, but it's not like school in a lot of ways, if I can say that. But the experience outside of the classroom, is also great as it is in the classroom.
Oh, there we go. All right, thank you. So we are in the final 10 minutes here. If anybody has any pressing questions they want to get in, now is definitely the time. Otherwise, we may, start winding things down here. Hopefully, everyone who attended did find it informative. I know we gave out a lot of great information there. The recording will be made available on the website, so you will be able to watch it later on if you missed anything. I know I saw a few people who came in after some of the earlier parts. So if there's anything you want to go back and see, it will be made available probably in a week or so. You'll be able to find it online. But in the interim, as we see if any more questions come in, we can start kind of doing any closing thoughts or anything that anyone feels maybe we didn't get a chance to touch on that you'd like to say before we wrap up.
Sure. I'll just say that it's important to remember that when you're coming into the program, that as fun as it is and as great as it is that we've talked about, it's a full-time program. So your success will be greater if you come in ready to work, ready to learn, ready to get down to business. And to make sure that you allocate enough time to be able to really complete that learning. The assignments and the deliverables are really the way that you're going to learn each of those steps. So make sure when you come in that you've allocated that time, and you're of the mind that you're ready to get down to business, because you will see a lot greater success if you come in that way first and foremost. I'll just close by saying that if you still have any questions about the program in particular, equipment, how things work, if you'd like to get in touch with me, if you'd like to have a phone call or just an email chat back and forth or whatever, I'm certainly open to that. And because I know sometimes it can be, you may be thinking about one or two different programs, or where you want to go, or is this the right fit for me? And I'd be happy to have that conversation with you. So drop me a line if that's something that you'd like to do.
Yeah, just to follow up on what Dan said there, another professor once told me, if you go to all the classes and you do all the assignments, you're going to do very, very well. That's the secret sauce in college. So, hopefully that's your mindset at the beginning of the semester, the middle of the semester, and the end of the semester. And for the four that will be with us. So definitely looking forward to meeting you all. There's a question about schedules there. I don't know if that's a Dan Polanen question or if.
Yeah, we did get a question. So just for reference, it is when will we receive our schedules?
You should have your schedule by about mid-August. So that would be at least 3 weeks or so before school starts.
Okay. And actually that kind of raises, what would a typical schedule for a week in the program look like? For anyone who is perhaps interested in hearing.
Sorry, I had my mic on mute there. We try to spread out the week as well as we can. Most of our classes won't.
Dan's internet in Kempville is not playing ball right now. I will try and step into as much as I can fill out here, because this is more Dan's purview as the coordinator. But we do try and spread things out, if at all possible, give you even a day off during the week where you can use to complete assignments. Dan, you cut out for the majority of your answer there. I picked up where you left off and was about to talk about the fact that most of their classes will be online. However, maybe I'll just pass it back to you there.
Yeah. However, we will have some time in the studios. And so, we try to balance out the weeks fairly well, just so that you can get your assignments done and to allocate enough time for you to do your shows on the radio station, which is another big part of this. So that those shows happen outside of class time. So, they'll be fairly balanced that way.
And maybe I can just in my final words, I can add that if you're not quite sure about what program that you want, we also have a 1-year certificate program that feeds into the radio program. So it helps with some of the sort of basic skills that you'll need coming into the program. And it's called the Music, Media, and Film Foundations program. And it's a 1-year certificate program and gives you sort of a little taste of all of those areas. So television, film, radio, and music. It doesn't go into the extensive, training and knowledge base that you'll get from taking the full programs, but it really just prepares you to enter the programs with a few more skill sets. I know there's a special information session for that tomorrow, so you can touch base with Sean if you're interested in popping in there. And one final thing, if you are here and you're a high school student, because I know that sometimes that happens, is that we have folks come in and you're not quite ready to apply because you're still in grade 10 or 11. But I would still say to reach out. We have had to kind of suspend our high school co-op program throughout the pandemic. Hopefully we'll be able to get that running again next year. So maybe in the winter semester, possibly. And that's a great way to find out what it's like to be in the program as well. If you have a co-op at your high school, we've had literally dozens of students come through the program that have ended up coming into the radio program or have gone on to other media programs as well. So that's my wrap up. Thanks a lot for joining us today. And thanks, John, for doing this.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much to Dan and to Jessica for joining us here today. Thank you to everyone who's joining us here live. Thank you to anyone who's watching this later on. Hopefully you found it worthwhile. And I mean, it's a radio session, so we got to have a good sign off. What's pressure's on? What's a good sign off? How do we do this? How do we wrap this up?
For CKDJ News, I'm Jessica Brando. That's mine.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
See you in September.
See you in September.